Awakening and Transformation of Montag. The novel Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury continues, as we witness the unraveling of certainty in the mind of a man who once found purpose in destruction. The question, "Are you happy?" lingering in the moonlit air like an accusation. Clarisse McClellan's innocent query striking Montag with unexpected force as she disappears into her home, leaving him frozen on the walkway between their houses, his comfortable assumptions suddenly called into question, this simple girl with her strange observations becoming the catalyst for what follows, her words opening a crack in the carefully constructed facade of his existence. This video was powered by the AI Pandora.io. The question lingers in the moonlight as Clarisse disappears into the night, her simple words echoing in Montag's mind. "Are you happy?" The firefighter stands frozen on the walkway, her query striking him with unexpected force. "Of course I'm happy," he thinks indignantly. What nonsense! As if happiness were something to be questioned rather than assumed. Montag approaches his own house, his hand sliding into the glove hole of his front door, a familiar routine that grants him entry into his quiet home. His certainty wavers as his eyes drift upward to the ventilator grill in the hall, suddenly remembering something hidden there, something that seems to watch him accusingly. His gaze darts away quickly, uncomfortable with the memory and the strange feeling that accompanies it. Entering his bedroom, Montag steps into tomb-like darkness, a cold marbled chamber sealed from the outside world. The windows shut tight against the silver moonlight, the room insulated from the city beyond. Yet not empty, a subtle sound floats through the silence, a delicate electrical humming like a hidden wasp in its warm nest. Without turning on the light, Montag pictures his wife Mildred stretched on the bed, cold and still like a body displayed on a tomb, her eyes fixed to the ceiling as if held by invisible steel threads. In her ears are the tiny seashells, the thimble-sized radios that pump an endless ocean of sound, music and talk washing over her consciousness as she drifts through artificial dreams. Every night for 2 years, Mildred has surrendered to these electronic tides, willingly submerging herself in their depths. The room feels airless as Montag moves toward his separate bed. His foot strikes something on the floor, an object giving a dull clink as it slides across the floor. In the darkness, Montag listens to Mildred's breathing, so faint it barely disturbs the air. He flicks his igniter, the small flame illuminating 2 pale moonstones looking up at him from the floor. 2 glass eyes in Mildred's unnaturally still face. Montag shines the light to discover a small crystal bottle of sleeping pills, now uncapped and empty, though it had contained 30 capsules earlier that day. Before he can process this discovery, the sky screams overhead as jet bombers tear through the night, their engines ripping the darkness like giant hands tearing black fabric. The violent sound splits Montag in half, his chest feeling cleaved open as the bombers pass overhead in formation. In the sudden silence after the jets pass, Montag calls emergency with a trembling voice. The arrival of the emergency technicians reveals a chilling normalization of suicide attempts in this society. 2 men arrive with efficient, impersonal machines, explaining their procedure with casual detachment as they work on Mildred. One machine pumps her stomach while the other replaces her blood, cleaning out the toxins from both systems. The operators smoke cigarettes while explaining that they handle 9 or 10 cases like this every night. So many that they've developed special equipment with optical lenses to make the process more efficient. Got to clean them out both ways, one operator explains matter-of-factly, describing how the poisoned blood can damage the brain. When Montag questions why no doctor has been sent, the operators dismiss his concern, explaining that handymen with machines can solve the problem in half an hour. They finish their work efficiently. Mention they've got another call blocks away, someone else who has attempted suicide, and leave Montag alone with his unconscious wife. There are too many of us, he thinks. Billions of us, and that's too many. Nobody knows anyone. Strangers come and violate you. Strangers come and cut your heart out. Strangers come and take your blood, Montag observes Mildred, noting the fresh color in her cheeks from someone else's blood flowing through her veins. He wishes they could have taken her mind to be cleaned as easily as her bloodstream. Morning arrives with Mildred's empty bed, alarming Montag until he finds her in the kitchen, toast being delivered by their automated toaster's mechanical hand. She wears seashell thimbles in both ears, electronic bees humming away the hours. When Montag questions if she's all right, she responds with cheerful ignorance about the previous night's events, expressing only hunger and wondering if she did anything foolish at a party she imagines might have occurred. Her complete amnesia about her suicide attempt reveals the profound disconnection between her actions and her consciousness, between her genuine despair and her artificial cheerfulness. Hours later, rain falls as Montag pins his salamander badge to his uniform, staring at the air conditioning vent in deep thought. When Montag confronts Mildred about taking all her pills, she denies it despite the empty bottle, unable or unwilling to acknowledge her own desperation. Heck, what would I want to go and do a silly thing like that for? Her tone betraying nothing unusual despite the severity of the situation. Inside their home, we see how technology has replaced genuine human connection as Mildred immediately turns to her television scripts rather than engaging with her husband. The three-wall television installation dominates their living space, consuming not just physical room but Mildred's entire attention. She excitedly explains her participation in interactive television plays where she reads scripted lines as the missing homemaker character Helen, believing this shallow performance constitutes meaningful engagement. When Mildred eagerly anticipates installing a fourth-wall television at the considerable cost of $2,000, roughly one-third of Montag's annual salary, her priorities become painfully clear. The physical walls of their home are transforming into portals that transport them away from their own reality, away from each other, away from themselves. Mildred's statement that with a fourth wall it would be just like this room wasn't ours at all reveals her desperate desire to escape her actual life, to live vicariously through exotic fictional characters rather than develop her own identity and relationships. The contrast between Mildred's artificial world and Clarisse's authentic engagement with life becomes even more pronounced. Montag encounters Clarisse walking in the rain, her face turned upward to feel the droplets, her senses fully engaged with her surroundings. She savors experiences Montag has never considered, telling him rain even tastes good. The dandelion she discovers becomes a powerful symbol of authentic human connection, a simple flower that reveals emotional truths in a society built on elaborate technological deceptions. The dandelion test reveals that Montag is not truly in love. Despite his protestations, when rubbed under his chin it leaves yellow marks, but Clarisse observes that for someone in love, the marks would appear differently. This simple moment of honesty strikes Montag deeply as he tries desperately to conjure a face to match his claim of being in love, yet finds himself unable to visualize anyone, not even his wife. Clarisse's seemingly random observations actually form a coherent challenge to the superficiality of their society. Her revelation that she visits a psychiatrist because they make me go suggests the system's intolerance for those who think differently. Her comment about collecting butterflies and watching birds reveals a person who observes and appreciates the world rather than rushing past it. When she mentions putting her head back to taste rain like wine, she demonstrates how sensory experiences can be savored rather than merely consumed. Her questions cut to the core of Montag's identity, asking how he became a fireman, implying the role doesn't suit his true nature. Montag's reaction to Clarisse is physically transformative, his body dividing into hotness and coldness, a trembling and a not trembling, revealing how deeply her questions disturb his carefully maintained equilibrium. Despite his attempt to dismiss her by sending her to her appointment, her influence lingers, culminating in the powerful image of Montag tilting his head back in the rain after she leaves, opening his mouth to taste the raindrops as she had described. This small act of experimentation represents the first crack in his conformity, the first willingness to experience the world on his own terms, rather than as prescribed by society. The developing relationship between Montag and Clarisse unfolds over 7 days of brief but meaningful encounters, shown through gentle images of her shaking a walnut tree, knitting a blue sweater, leaving flowers or chestnuts on his porch. These small acts of attention and appreciation stand in stark contrast to his sterile home life with Mildred. Their conversations reveal Clarisse's remarkable ability to notice beauty in ordinary things like the cinnamon smell of autumn leaves. Her observation that Montag's laugh sounds much more relaxed than before shows how her influence is gradually unwinding his tightly controlled exterior. Clarisse describes the hollow education system that shapes their society. An hour of TV class followed by basketball or baseball, transcription history and painting pictures, more sports, 4 hours of film teacher, an assembly line of information without curiosity or questioning, just answers poured down students' throats like water through funnels while authorities claim it's wine, leaving students so exhausted they can only sleep or seek violent entertainment in fun parks, breaking windows, wrecking cars, or racing dangerously through streets. Her observations culminating in a devastating conclusion that cuts through the noise of their society. People don't talk about anything meaningful, just cars, clothes, swimming pools, all speaking in identical patterns without original thought. Montag's world begins to unravel as Clarisse suddenly disappears, her absence creating an emptiness he doesn't immediately recognize, only sensing a disturbance in his newly established routine. The streets and lawns eerily vacant without her presence, a vague discomfort settling over him as he nearly retraces his steps hoping to find her. But the arrival of his train prevents this plan from unfolding. Inside the firehouse, surrounded by the sounds of playing cards on greasy tabletops, Montag retreats behind closed eyes, aware of the glittering brass and silence around him, the colors of precious metals surrounding men who sigh over their card game while radio reports warn of imminent war. Back at the firehouse, the mechanical Hound emerges as a chilling embodiment of the system's enforcement mechanism. Its description merges technological and biological imagery, a softly illuminated beast with sensitive capillary hairs and nylon-brushed nostrils, a machine designed to appear lifelike yet serve inhuman purposes, though officially just a tool. The Hound possesses an unsettling autonomy, a threat lurking at the edges of consciousness for those who might stray from accepted norms. Montag's comparison of it to a bee filled with poison wildness Insanity and nightmare suggests his growing awareness of the toxic system he serves. The fireman's cruel entertainment of setting animals loose for the Hound to capture and kill reveals the casual sadism that underlies their profession. Their bets on which animal will be caught first mirrors their dehumanized approach to book owners. Montag's withdrawal from these games shows his increasing discomfort with cruelty disguised as entertainment. The Hound's hostility toward Montag materializes his subconscious guilt. Its growl and extended needle when he approaches suggest it senses his changing thoughts, his emerging doubts. Captain Beatty's dismissal that the Hound is just copper wire, storage batteries, and electricity attempts to reduce the threat to mere mechanics. Montag's transformation continues as he voices dangerous thoughts, asking about the man whose library they burned, learning he was taken screaming to an asylum, then venturing further by wondering how it would feel to have firemen burn their own houses and books. Beatty's suspicious questioning forcing Montag to backtrack, his inner voice shifting to Clarisse's as he asks whether firemen once prevented fires rather than started them, a question that prompts his colleagues to produce their rulebooks containing the history of American firemen. Established in 1790 to burn English-influenced books in the colonies, with Benjamin Franklin named as first fireman. The blaring alarm interrupts this dangerous conversation, sending the men sliding down the brass pole toward their waiting fire engine, the orange dragon coughing to life as they race toward their target, wind hammering around their sirens' scream and metal thunder. Arriving at a 3-story house preserved only by its thin fireproof plastic sheath, a century-old structure barely standing against time, Montag following his colleagues as they crash through the front door to find not someone fleeing but a woman standing still, weaving slightly, eyes fixed on nothingness, her tongue moving as if trying to recall something important. The scene intensifies as the woman finally speaks, quoting martyred Hugh Latimer's words to Nicholas Ridley before they were burned alive for heresy in 1555, her quiet defiance forming a powerful parallel to her current situation, Beatty demanding to know where the books are hidden while slapping her with mechanical objectivity. The men proceeding upstairs to swing silver hatchets at unlocked doors, revealing how this violence differs from their usual raids where police arrive first to silence victims, the woman's presence making this burning personal, her silence below accusing them as they damage not just things, but human dignity. Books rain down upon Montag as he climbs the stairwell, one landing in his hands like a white pigeon with fluttering wings, opening to reveal delicate words that burn into his mind. Time has fallen asleep in the afternoon sunshine. Before he instinctively drops it only to have another fall into his arms, his hand acting with a mind of its own, with its own conscience and curiosity, becoming a thief as it presses the book to his sweating armpit. The visual metaphor of books as slaughtered birds, reinforcing the violence of their destruction, while suggesting their fragility and freedom. Montag's internal conflict manifests physically as he stares at his hand in disbelief, holding it far out as if farsighted, then close as if blind. The symbol of his hand acting independently, representing his awakening conscience fighting against his conditioned behavior. The men meanwhile coating each book with cold kerosene from their numbered 451 tanks, pumping rooms full of the fluid while the woman kneels among her treasured books, touching their drenched leather and cardboard, reading gilt titles with her fingers while her eyes accuse Montag, declaring they can never have her books despite Beatty's insistence that the law demands their destruction. The mounting tension reaches its peak as the men prepare to leave. Montag protesting they cannot abandon the woman, Beatty insisting these fanatics always choose suicide, the pattern familiar, but Montag attempting to save her, pleading for her to come while she quietly refuses, opening her fingers to reveal an ordinary kitchen match, the sight driving the men from the house as Beatty backs away with dignity despite his pink face showing faint panic, the woman's hand twitching above the kerosene fumes blooming around her. Montag feeling the hidden book pound against his chest like a heart as the woman dismisses them, standing motionless on the porch to weigh them with her condemning quietness before striking the match against the railing. In the profound aftermath, Montag quotes the woman's words to Beatty, who surprisingly completes the reference, revealing unexpected knowledge of the forbidden texts, explaining that Latimer spoke these words to Ridley as they were burned alive for heresy in Oxford on October 16, 1555. Beatty's casual admission that he's full of bits and pieces suggesting complex contradictions within the captain himself, the scene ending with Stoneman driving past their firehouse turn, a small but significant error showing how deeply disturbed even the most mechanical men are by witnessing a woman choose to die with her books rather than live in a world without them, her martyrdom echoing across centuries to connect with historical figures who also died for their beliefs. As Montag stands silent with the stolen book still pressed against his chest, we witness the transformation of a man who once found certainty in destruction now finding only questions. His journey from unthinking instrument of the state to a human being capable of doubt has begun in earnest. Clarisse's innocent question has found its answer in the most devastating way possible. For how can anyone claim happiness in a world where women burn alongside their books rather than surrender their minds? Where wives attempt suicide yet remember nothing? Where children kill each other for entertainment? The mechanical systems of control may continue functioning, but the human soul rebels, seeking authentic connection in a world of technological isolation, seeking truth in a landscape of comfortable lies. The stolen book against Montag's chest beats like a second heart, an alternative pulse of possibility in a world determined to extinguish the very flame of human curiosity that once illuminated rather than destroyed, showing that even in the darkest times, the spark of resistance can be kindled from the most unexpected encounters. This video was powered by the AI Pandora.io.